Five Nights at I can't say that yet or I feel it's gonna get flagged by YouTube. FNAFB is a game with a lot of fanfare. If you look on YouTube or if you just look on other sites, talks of the game have been bigger than other games covered on here. Well, except for off, since it's fucking off, but it still is a game that captivated a lot of people. And I'm warning you right now, I'm not as dedicated as these fans and I don't have the same knowledge of its history and so on. I didn't watch these games when they originally came out when I was a kid through some YouTubers at the time. Yeah, I don't protect the internet access, it wasn't good for me. Through that, I was able to note down 2 things about the game before I even tried playing, because I have a very selective memory and somehow 10 years later still remember that. Number 1, this game is a huge shitpost. You should not take anything in this game seriously. It's a huge meme meant to just give you some goofs and laughs. This isn't like with Suits where it has a shitposty nature with some of its side quests and environments, but was still able to hold a decently serious tone and focus on its world building and story. Nah, not here. In this game, everything is a shitpost. And honestly, I prefer this comedy over Tales of Drunken Paladins one. This one tries to most of the time keep the jokes short and to the point, and I prefer that over the long, unfunny bits. Because my brain is fucking mush and I still miss 2016. Number 2, this is a rage game. This game was made so that your favorite e-celebs can get mad and have an over-the-top reaction to the game. This game is stupidly unfair and it's not gonna hold your hand for anything. You're gonna get stuck in a fight for 20 minutes just for the enemy to do an AoE attack that wipes your entire party, just for the game over screen to tell you to get good. And you're gonna mold, seethe, cope, and cry about it like intended. For this video I've decided to play through the complete edition, since this is what I consider the definitive edition of the game. I know this has a lot of mechanical differences to the original games and has a lot of new content to it, since, you know, they got more content from the actual FNAF games that released at the time. But I'm just gonna say this now. For this series, if a game has a superior official version / a remake, I will probably cover that as its basis. If the remake is worse than the original, I will cover both it and the original, and point out how you can fuck up a remake. I will then also rank the original instead of the remake. I played Five Nights at Fuckboys 1, I can say the word now, Five Nights at Fuckboys 2, Afterstory 3, and Finale. So technically, by this pack's definition, I played through 5 games. And, wow, I'm genuinely impressed that this is a pretty fun game. I mean, this is both from the gameplay to the goofy nature of the game to the stupid fucking story. I want to first talk about the combat and gameplay since they will vary very little over every game, and then I'll talk about the quote-unquote story, which I have to warn you. I'm not a perfect lore scholar, so I'm probably gonna get some things wrong. But before we get into the story and the gameplay, the assets of this game are all mostly just from the actual RPGmaker engine, or are just assets that were based off of the actual FNAF games. I think they may just be screenshots or they may have been custom modeled, I can't really tell. The songs in this game are mostly stolen from other games and other sorts of media. You can hear Final Fantasy, Persona, SMT, Yakuza, and then you can also hear Evangelion, hear just Snoop Dogg songs, Tupac songs, and my 2 favorite songs you're gonna hear is fucking Miku's a fucking cunt and Japanese songs with revolution in the name. Yeah, so the assets aren't really original, but if they fit with the story and they fit with the tone, which they most likely will since it is a shitpost, it's gonna be fine. So I could say, the music is good, but that's not because they're good at making music, it's because they're good at stealing music. The gameplay of Five Nights at Fuckboys, which will end up being the same for all the main games, is the following. Walk around the pizzeria of the game it's parodying, defeat the cameras so you can go into the security office and get the final boss. This goal will stay the same throughout all of the games. What will change is some of the mechanics in the actual combat and what pizzeria you're in. Due to the game being focused on you have to beat cameras to go then to the final boss, all of the major battles are supposed to be long, arduous fights. This is where the unfairness comes in. These fights can vary from a fight which seems hard but is fair with a strategy, to fuck you, fuck your family, fuck your party, what's your strategy check, owned. When I say that these battles can be long, I mean it. Fights for me range from 2 minutes up to 40 minutes and even an hour, because I got fucking owned. With that you can see where it gets a difficult reputation from. So how do we level the playing field? Well, by grinding of course. Before you get immediately put off, because I was 2 originally, I will give it this, it takes a very short time to finish your grind. Because the level cap in this game is absurdly low. The level cap for all of the games is normally 20, with FNAF 2 being a little bit higher, but it still will be mostly 20 where you reach your maximum potential. The level cap being 20 is supposed to mimic the custom night max difficulty, which you guys know about FNAF, right? Because I'm not explaining. After that, it's just progress based. Once you beat a set of cameras, you can buy better equipment, and along the way of your journey, you will get your new party members. So, in my opinion, this is the least insulting way to do the grind gameplay loop. It sucks that you have to grind at some point because it's never fun, but at the same time, this isn't a grind that you're going to have to repeat as the game goes on. Since the rest of the ways to make yourself stronger are progress based, you can say that it's actually pretty fair. False fucking advertising. I already said that the combat was focused around long fights, but what is the combat actually like? Would you believe if I told you what's the basic RPGmaker combat? Because it is. The combo gimmick from the original was funny, but I can see what was removed. You will be missed. I think that in this scenario of long hard fights, the combat does its job pretty well, putting more emphasis on planning and strategy, which normal RPGmaker combat lacks in. For me at least, since there's no way you could really make yourself invested in strategizing when you end up having 50 spells while only actually using 5, when in the end the fight is gonna take less than 30 seconds. But that could also be me not having played a game that does it correctly. A lot of chances are real, so we will see. Back on topic. The combat is really focused on strategy, as you will have 4 party members in play, with all having a very limited amount of abilities, 4 to be precise. These of course range from party member to party member. Your party members also have unique passives, which you can see here. These passives will be unique to every specific character, with the third game having my favorite, which we will talk about when we get there. I guess think about it now while writing this. The focus of the game is more trying to beat progressively harder and harder fights with extremely limited tools, and seeing how you can optimize it the best way possible, which I actually really enjoyed this time around. But during really long fights, one of your party members are gonna be on janitor duty using items on your characters. Also, there's going to be an insane focus on using items during these fights. This game is almost unplayable without forcing yourself to use MP or HP recovering items every 10 seconds. Last thing I'll mention about the gameplay and combat, I don't think these fights are actually hard. They are just endurance tests. Since most of these fights can drag on for a lot of time, it is just mostly seeing how focused your mind can stay on a certain strategy while throwing you a curveball every so often to keep you on your toes. Some fights have some gimmicks, like a camera that has a gun so it does more damage, or a camera that poisons you, or 2 cameras. But none of these have any mechanics that you have to plan or play around, so I don't think its title of unfairly difficult is deserved, since it kinda just comes down to patience. That's the gameplay out of the way. Now, let's look at all these games one by one and talk a little bit of their story. Final Fantasy Fuckboys 1 released on November 22nd, 2014, 3 months after Final Fantasy Freddy's 1 released, and 11 days after Final Fantasy Freddy's 2 released. I forgot the FNAF games got fucking pumped out like that, holy shit. In this game you follow around Freddy Fuckboy, who is seeking to have a good old night of sucking, fucking and drugging, or debauchery, as he likes to call it. To do this he has to shit on all the cameras and then enter the security guard's room to start the party? Guess he's camera shy. Gameplay-wise, since the first game that released, it is basically just what I mentioned prior. The humor of the first game reflects that age pretty well, with text-to-speech voices, MLG shit, and 420. Halfway through the game, you'll find a mechanic that will come back in every other mainline game. After a certain amount of progression, a timer will start ticking down. When it takes down, you are forced into a fight, no matter where you are. It's meant to make you panic and start running around trying to get anything to make this fight go smoother, but honestly it's not that bad. After this, the toy animatronics show up, who, if you defeat, give you the best possible gear for the retrospective character. Which was cool to see since FNAF 2 came out 11 days before this released. Them implementing them into this game was funny to see. This game's story ends with you entering the security guard room, where Golden Freddy shows up and goes off on you for not inviting him along. You beat his ass and you find out that he wasn't actually the real final boss, and the real final boss was Balloon Boy. Oh yeah, so this game, he's your merchant for this game. Yeah, I forgot to mention. Balloon Boy fucking hates you and wants you dead. You beat his ass, he swears revenge, and you finally have your night of debauchery. This game was fun enough, it's only 3 hours long and I enjoyed it. The collection does have 2 extra game modes. One is a side story where you play as Balloon Boy, go around the pizzeria, and the other one is file mode. File mode is cool as fuck and I can appreciate it for how stupid over the top it is, and I don't care if it's nonsensical. I don't even know anything about Mega Man, but his abilities rocked and his lines are funny. File is so cool. With that we can move on to the second game. Final Fantasy Fuckboys 2 released December 24th, 2014, 1 month after the first game. Damn, going the same pace as the games it's parodying. While writing this, I thought I would spend more time on all the games individually, but I think I'll do this quickly. Premise, changes, conclusion to its story. Ready? Alright, here we go. Game takes place a couple years before Final Fantasy Fuckboys. Toy Freddy wants to have a night of sex, yeah, it's the same premise, but this time with toy animatronics. So what are the changes? This time around, after the puppet, instead of the toy animatronics showing up, the wizard animatronics show up. And when you defeat them, they don't give you better gear, but they actually join your party. The wizard animatronics are playable and have the same skills as the one from the first game. In combat, all your party members, aside from Toy Freddy, can swap with a member in reserve. You can swap once per turn and this swap happens immediately, so that means that you can have them use their abilities instantly. That's kinda it for the changes, yeah. The humor is still the same and it was fun. It's goofy fun again. But aside from that, everything is kinda the same. The abilities of the toy animatronics fucking sucked though and made the game feel harder. Game ends with you going to the security room where Balloon Boy reveals he's the villain again. You beat his ass, but he escapes through a portal. This time around you follow him to the portal. Fight him 2 more times, one of them being an Earthbound reference and the other being a Persona reference, I think. And the game ends with you having your night of, yeah, the same thing, blah. This game was also pretty fun. Felt longer this time around. The humor was also fine. I prefer the first one over this game because Toy Buddy fucking sucks and has shit ability. Moving to the next game. Afterstory is technically not a new game, but since it's separately in the collection, I will count it as a game. It was added to the re-release of Final Fantasy Fuckboys 2 called The Final Mix as a sort of epilogue. It released on March 11, 2015, 8 days after FNAF 3. This Afterstory doesn't add anything new gameplay-wise, so I'm just gonna mention the story. Are you ready? Because I'm just gonna say it how I experienced it. Freddy Fuckboy from Fast and Fuckboys 1 sees Balloon Boy get into the DeLorean and follows him into the past. That past being Fast and Fuckboys 2, before Mangle was all mangled and Balloon Boy died. Balloon Boy is there to retrieve something to make him stronger, I don't remember, and also to kill his past self, I'm pretty sure. Before that happens, Michael Jackson shows up. You beat Michael Jackson, he turns into Mecha Michael Jackson, you beat Mecha Michael Jackson, get his hat, Balloon Boy gets his MacGuffin and kills his weaker version. You then go to February Land where, and you decide to beat up the Flav 2 cast. After this you realize, oh yeah, Balloon Boy is gonna become crazy strong now, maybe you should stop him. You go and find Balloon Boy who turns into Sephiroth and you beat his ass. With that, the evil is defeated and the day is saved, you can have your sex party. I don't really understand the stories. These stories are shitpost. And you know what? This one I thought was really funny because Michael Jackson is funny, okay? You see Michael Jackson show up and having a full animated cutscene was fucking hilarious. It's fucking stupid, but that makes it charming. And it's a good send-off as the main threat is defeated, and everyone can go back to normal. Fast and Fuckboys 3 released on April 20th and it follows Springtrap, who is not Freddy. And he also wants to spend the night, yeah, you fucking know it. Fast and Fuckboys 3 is my favorite of the 3 games, with the cool stuff it does. And my favorite addition this time around is that you only have one party member. To make up for this, Springtrap's passive is that he gets a second action. I really fucking like this, since it lets you plan out and strategize better. Getting rid of the other party members and having one character have multiple actions is something I thought was really good. Since this time around you can have your character use an ability that may sacrifice some HP and immediately have them healed up. Unlike with hoping that the ally you chose to heal him gets a turn order before he gets sniped, or doesn't act too fast and make them heal before they can use the skill. And also, since you can take 2 turns, you can attack and immediately guard so you get reduced damage. Having all of your skills in one place and not being dependent on ally turn order and only being dependent on enemy turn order makes it stand out to me as a really good change. The second major change is that this time around, you aren't fighting cameras. There are no cameras actually. When you go up to the security door, it says that it's locked by some soul contraption, and there's a reason for this. The Phantom animatronics will all tell you they need something. Once you fetch them what they need, Balloon Boy, who was also a Phantom because he fucking died in the Afterstory, allows you to access a new area where you fight the Phantom that you helped. When you beat them, they give you a new unique skill. And every time you beat one, a lock from the door disappears. These side quests are all well done and funny, even if my brain did blank on how to play the arcade machine, but we don't talk about that. After you help the first Phantom animatronic, you can encounter the gang of official made shitty looking animatronics, which I think were an addition to the complete edition, but they were funny and were a nice challenge to beat. After you help the last Phantom, you realize that the door still hasn't fucking opened, and that all of that was kind of fucking pointless. But yeah, it was all just fucking for nothing helping the Phantoms, because you just end up going through the fence. Either way, so you decide to take a detour through the fence, where you have to fight Ennard. Which I think is also an addition to the complete edition, since the location didn't fucking release back then. But either way, it was a cool addition, and fuck you, stupid fucking boss, fucking piece of shit, it took me fucking an hour, fuck off. Once you enter the security room, you find out that this time around, you're helping Balloon Boy. You are actually trying to revive him, and more importantly, that this is the end of Act 1. This game is a 2-parter. Part 2 has you following Golden Freddy, who's there to beat Springtrap's ass and, quote-unquote, jiff him to death for not letting him join on his sex night. He's in the security room and you have to beat all the security cameras. Once you get in the security room, you have a fight with Springtrap and Phantom Balloon Boy. Mid-fight, Balloon Boy decides to fuck off, and Springtrap decides to up the stakes by setting the entire room on fire. Kinda fucking cool, I'm not gonna lie. They fight it out, you win, and the place burns down. No sex party this time, and Balloon Boy is gotten away. The end. I really like this one from a gameplay perspective, and the random twist of you switching characters and having a second act was also pretty cool. Walmart is also funny, because I'm fucking stupid. It's my favorite out of all of them. And with that, we can finally get to the final part of this collection. Finale was part of the final mixed version of Fast and Fuckboys 3, which I can't find the actual release date for. It's actually called Act 3, and it fucking sucks. I really fucking dislike this one. That comes because of the gameplay change this time around. This time around, instead of going through the small pizzeria map, you have to go through 2 different dungeons, which both are fucking horrible. But more importantly, have so many fucking random encounters that drags the entire pace of the fucking finale down. It was such a slog to get through. The worst part of these random encounters is that you have a chance to not be able to run from them. And since this game is already fairly difficult, not being able to run from one fight means that you're gonna have to use all your fucking items to heal them up. And this time around, you don't even need to grind, since you start the game at max level cap, so they're only there to get items or tokens, but more importantly, to be a fucking nuisance. This gameplay change, like, completely with my enjoyment. I don't know if I enjoyed the story because of it. Anyhow, the story follows you playing as Freddy Fuckboy back again in the Finance of Fuckboys 1 pizzeria, wanting to go on a vacation. He beats up his friends to make them come along with him, and they all end up using the DeLorean to have a nice vacation. While being in the future, they have to re-tank real quick, so they go back to the first pizzeria to re-tank where Foul shows up, baby! I love Foul. He chases you around and you get to fight him, you cannot do shit against him. So Freddy decides to fuck off, go back in time, grabs Toy Freddy, goes back to the fight, makes Toy Freddy tell Foul that he's his son, Foul goes into shock, then you can beat his ass. And that's the end of Foul. Either way, go into the security room where you find out that Phantom Balloon Boy is trying to get out of this timeline, and go into the one where you can become leader of the world or something. And it may be too late because he's too strong. You get your ass beat, Balloon Boy goes back to make his ritual work and closes the doors. Now you have to go into the dungeons in the future and past to destroy the generators to open the doors. Clearing the dungeons, you finally go and face Balloon Boy, and it's basically just a retreading of Afterstory. This time around, Freddy sacrifices himself to defeat Balloon Boy once and for all, with Freddy being missing at the end. I disliked this one a lot. It wasn't even as funny as the others. The dungeons were outrageously bad, and it really had dragged down for what could have been a decent finale. And that is everything I played through. Fucking finally. Finance of Fuckboys is a game that's carried by its design mentality and humor. The focus being on hard fights made it easy for streamers to pick it up as a rage game, and the humor helped captivate audiences and win their hearts. They chose the perfect game to parody at the peak of its popularity, and ended up becoming one of the most beloved shitposts. Ranking the series as a whole, it's a hard one to rank. And I'm ranking the series as 1 because I feel like the quality stays the same and it remains in balance over all of the games. Since looking at the perspective from an RPGmaker game and not wholly focusing on it as a FNAF parody, the gameplay itself already carries for a lot of its quality. It took a lot of debating with myself about where I wanted to put this, but I am putting this below Asa 999. Asa 999 can be picked up by anyone and enjoy the narrative that it does try to build without having any connections to anything. Finance of Fuckboys does really have a specific audience in focus, being those that are familiar with the FNAF franchise and also those that like internet humor. That said, it still offers a very strong package with its gameplay and some pretty cool ideas implemented, even if it has the Finance of Freddy's coat of paint on it. So that's why I think it does deserve a decently high spot. Anyhow, on to the next game. Oh my fucking god! Oh my fucking god!
Put it up right now.
Oh,
Put it up right now.
I wanted the short game. I'm gonna have to fucking play through 2. Oh my god, it's gonna take such a long time to beat. I'm not getting this fucking feeling ready for Saturday. Shit. Fuck.